Hi, I'm Lou. I've been on this side of YouTube for a while, and I've made YouTube videos in the past. However, it feels so counterintuitive to make a video about wanting to spend less time on your screens, because you are making that video using the exact devices that kind of cause the problem. However, I did start to realize that I would be spending my time better on these devices with making this exact video. With this video, I really just want to introduce myself and give a little bit of insight on my journey so far when it comes to getting off my phone, reducing my screen time, and basically reclaiming my life with an ongoing social media addiction. So I'm an artist, I write and produce music, I'm a singer, I'm a DJ, I'm a photographer, I study fine arts photography in university, and that's kind of why I'm glued to social media all of the time, because I pretty much need it as a tool to promote all of my projects and events and exhibitions and share my work. And I also use it as a tool to connect with other artists and also as a tool to, actually acquire jobs and assignments. I'm pretty much tied to social media when it comes to my work, but I've started to realize that that has led to a very unhealthy work-life balance, because I've just been spending so much time on social media under the guise of, well, I need it as a tool for work. But really what I have been doing wasn't working, because I actually wasn't even able to focus on the work that I'm trying to do when I use social media, because I was so distracted by everything else that was going on. The hours spent on that app started to accumulate so much that I couldn't take it anymore. This is not just a me problem. There's more people out there with the same struggle. I found so many more people on YouTube who are doing amazing work talking about their journeys getting rid of their phones, or like getting it under control, and finding solutions for these problems that are created once you get rid of your smartphone in 2025. And my overall goal is to head into 2026 with a solution for my smartphone addiction that will make it attractive for me to not be on my phone. That's my goal for 2026. I have 1.5 months to wrap this up and really set the base for this next year that I don't want to just hand over to these huge tech companies. My attention should be mine. It should be up to me to decide, and I shouldn't be up against these huge tech giant companies who are just out there to make profit off of my attention, and therefore they're just out to get it at all times. And that's just the reality that we live in today. So that's why I'm trying to not let it get to me in 2026 and be more in touch again with the music that we listen to, with the sense of play that we experience as children, and with boredom the way that we felt it as kids, all of these things that feel very familiar. We know these emotions, but since we've gotten so used to being bombarded by content and ads all day, that's gone away, and I'm here to get it back. Another big reason for me to do all of this is that I've just realized I need to regain the ability to rest. I just haven't been able to rest. And that is so difficult to understand and really grasp, because technically I have a lot of free time, but because it is spent in ways that are not actually resting, I still feel super stressed 24/7. And that's something that I want to change in the future, because I don't want to end up like all the self-employed people and artists that just end up burnt out. Let's figure out systems that I can put in place in my life to not be overworked and stressed all the time. And I think that just automatically includes getting off the phone. The only exception for this constant state of stress has really been yin yoga practice and investing the time into just regulating my nervous system that way, and really focusing on breathing and just relaxing and easing into these poses. Just to give you a general sense of how bad my phone addiction is and was, I started at 8 hours screen time per day on my phone. That was only my phone, my iPad, and my MacBook not included. We started at 8 hours in, I believe, August, and then I got it down to 4 hours on average in October. And this week, I think I've averaged at 2 hours so far because I had 2 work days that kind of pushed it up. But for the most part, this week, I've managed to stay under 90 minutes a day on my phone. And that's kind of the trajectory that's been going on so far. The phone that I have is an iPhone 16 Pro. I did have to pick up quite a capable phone because I do need it for content creation, filming behind the scenes videos, filming content while I'm at gigs, for example. And I've just realized that people interact with high quality iPhone filmed content a lot better on Instagram than when I use my camcorder or my digicams to film or to take photos. So I have kind of circled back to that because all of the work that I put into social media doesn't really make a lot of sense if the story or the post gets viewed by like 3 people. It's also just very annoying to do content creation work on a very old, very incapable phone. Like I had an iPhone 12 mini before and it was just so busted. The GPS didn't work anymore. It was just at the end of its rope, and therefore I picked up an iPhone 16 Pro. That is the phone that I use. The next device in my ecosystem is the Apple Watch Series 8. I picked it up for super cheap on eBay, and I think that that's kind of like the next big device that I use in my everyday life. To listen to music, I use my iPod Classic 5th generation that I've had for 12 years, and recently I've picked up a pair of Beats mixer headphones that I got on eBay as well for super cheap, and that's kind of been my daily carry because I wanted headphones that are metal, are collapsible, but you can also swivel them. You can attach the headphone jack on either side of the headphones. That was very important to me. So I ended up with a Beats mixer. Honestly, I also got heavily influenced by djing on that one, so, you know. But I do have them now and I love them. Like I said, I do study photography, so I always have to carry a camera. And even though I do use my phone as a camera quite a lot, I'm obviously trying to not do that because we want to reduce the screen time. So the 2 cameras that I always carry are my Sony RX100 Mark V, and I always carry my Sanyo J1, which is a super random digicam, but it takes awesome retro video. So I really, really love that, and that's what I use it for primarily. And then I always carry a power bank to power all of these in a little pouch with all of my cables, which is not a lot actually. I usually carry a USB-C cable, a 30-pin cable for my iPod, and a DC 5-volt cable for my camera, and that's it. And apart from that, I always carry a book to read. Currently, I'm reading Das Foto schaute mich an. And then lastly, for a little bit of gaming on the go, I do always carry my Nintendo 3DS, even though I've kind of, gravitated a bit more towards reading on the train recently, so I haven't been using it as much. That constitutes my daily carry on things that kind of get me off my phone and of course like my phone. I would say the most powerful tool in reducing my screen time, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but the most powerful tool in reducing my screen time so far has been the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch surprised me so much. It's actually crazy. So basically the Apple Watch I picked up because my best friend got one, and the 2 of us are both on our fitness journey right now, so I did want to actually invest a little bit of money into a fitness tracker. And before that I had a Xiaomi Smart Band 8 Pro, I think it was called, and it was so bad. And I was so happy when I picked up the Apple Watch. It's just so much better, and it's such a well-designed product, and it does what it does so well. Which, that brings me to my little intermission, because that's the general philosophy that I want to apply to how I pick my tech and what I use in my everyday life is, does it do what it does well? And do I enjoy doing that thing using that device? I've realized that I use my phone as a watch quite often, right? Like I use it to check the time all the time. I also use it to set timers. I use it as a stopwatch. I use a lot of watch functionality on my phone, which is ridiculous because like I am a person who wears watches. I've always worn watches, so it's so crazy to me that I'm so addicted to my phone that even though I am literally wearing a wristwatch, I still check my phone to check the time. If you're someone who struggles with phone addiction and you really actively want to get off your phone, I do think that this is a smart one to have because I have my watch face set to a customizable one, so I can always see the weather forecast on my watch, so I don't have to open my phone for that. I have a shortcut for my timer and for Spotify. So like a lot of things that I would usually pull out my phone for and then get stuck in notifications, I don't actually have to use my phone for anymore, which is great. And the additional benefit, of course, is you get your notifications on here, so you can just look at the watch, decide whether it's worth stopping whatever you're doing and then picking up your phone or not. And you don't have to pick up your phone for that because I get so stuck in, oh wait, I need to see what that person is texting me. So I pick up the phone, but then I picked up the fucking phone. So now I have the phone in my hand and I'm doing something on the phone and then there's something else and then I just scroll Instagram for half an hour. So, you know, I think we all know that weird spiral that you just go down once they have you on your screen, right? But like right next on the list is the iPod. Using an iPod to listen to music is so fun. Like, I don't know, I think Apple as a company just does such great design, and they've always done that. So even old Apple products are just so fun to use. And that's why I'm so happy that I was able to get my iPod up and running again. I'm not a very techie person when it comes to fixing things. Like, I'm not very handy with that. I did manage to replace my iPod battery. I don't know, it felt so accomplishing because it is such a small fix. It is like so easy to do. But I was so proud that I managed to do it and I fixed something old that I had laying around and now it works again and I'm using it again and that just felt great. Since I'm a DJ, I do own most of my music just because I also need to own it in order to play it at the club. You know, I have my music as files, so I can just put them on the iPod. It's not that hard. I guess the barrier of entrance is a bit higher if that's not the case and you would have to get all the music first. But what I can recommend is kind of using an iPod as a second little capsule of music that's just separate from your streaming. So I like to have just a little bit of music on my iPod and have that music be like my special little case with music that I carry around, with very precious music that I listen to quite intensely and that I want to get to know a lot better. I think that's a great thing to do. Just go to the thrift store, pick up some CDs, and then you can just rip the CDs at home and put that music on your iPod. I just have a portable CD drive. You know, I picked it up in 2014-ish. It still has mini USB. That's how old it is. So I had to pick up a mini USB to USB-C cable, but works just great. And I mean, they last forever. So it's just like a one-time €20 investment and then you have it forever. I think owning your music is great. I think this should not even be a discussion. I think it's crazy that we all pay $150 a year and at the end we don't own the music. I've had Spotify for 10 years, but I'm lucky enough to be on a family plan and my dad pays for it for all of us kids, which is great. It's not as big of a concern for me personally. However, if you're a solo user for Spotify and you've been paying like $150 a year for 10 years, that's like $1.5 grand that you've spent on not owning the music that you listen to. And that's so crazy to me because you can buy so much music for that money. Like it's so insane. Anyways, go pick up CDs, put the CDs on your iPod and you're good to go. It's so fun and you can just have a little library that's just separate from your streaming. Great way to get into classical or get into jazz, for example. Right now, my rotation is Lax by Rosalía, Malportada by Nati Peluso, Debí tirar unas fotos by Bad Bunny, and then 4 by Beyonce, and Montero by Lil Nas X. It's all music that keeps me motivated and like, you know, keeps me going. And then I also added this week 2 albums. I added Dogs in Heaven by Silver Gore, which is my biggest recommendation right now. And I added It's a Beautiful Day by Water From Your Eyes, both great albums. And I saw them live this week. It was amazing. If you do not have an iPod and you don't want to invest in old tech, my recommendation is to get a USB MP3 player on Amazon. They're really cheap. I have one with USB-C and 64 gigabytes of storage, and it has Bluetooth connectivity. So that's a great pick if you want to get into it. That's what I used before I got my iPod up and running again. I'm excited to see where all of this will go. And I just really want to make videos about this because this little exit your phone corner of YouTube is so fun and so wholesome and so cute. And I just love all the people, like, I don't know, there's like such an infectious energy about this corner of YouTube. Like, for example, I love watching reids videos from Shameless Nerd. He's so infectious when it comes to all of this. And I don't know, I'm very passionate about this topic. Like, I feel like we should all just be on our phones less. I have a lot of things that I'm very passionate about, and I just want to do more YouTube videos because I think doing YouTube is so fun. So I think in the future, I could potentially talk about the iPod, camcorders, digicams, of which I have too many, my iPad mini that I'm obsessed with because it's the best device Apple ever made, and also books and music, for example. So yeah, you'll see. I'm probably just going to be on here giving recommendations in order to get people off their phones and out into the real world again, because it can actually be less dystopian and you can still be in touch with the politics and news of the world without being sucked into like a depressing social media spiral every single day. Yay! So if you're interested in any of that, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you soon. Bye!